Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tensions across the globe have erupted once again, this time over a shocking and dangerous new development from Moscow. Reports claim that Vladimir Putin has made a direct nuclear missile offer to one of Russia's closest allies, and the world is now holding its breath. Iran has issued a fierce warning, China has entered the conversation, and even former U.S. President Donald Trump has weighed in, calling the situation a disaster waiting to happen. What started as a quite diplomatic proposal has now turned into a geopolitical earthquake. Let's break down how the world suddenly found itself standing at the edge of a potential global confrontation. It began late last week when Russian state media hinted that the Kremlin was considering expanding its nuclear defense partnership with select allies. Though no country was named outright, international analysts quickly pointed the finger at Iran, a nation already facing deep tensions with both Israel and the United States. If Putin truly intends to extend nuclear missile technology or strategic defense systems to Tehran, it could shift the entire balance of power in the Middle East. The mere suggestion of this offer has already sent Washington and Tel Aviv into a frenzy. Iran's initial reaction was cautious, but within hours, the tone hardened. Iranian officials publicly warned that no nation should underestimate Iran's military readiness, adding that those who play with nuclear fire will be burned. Behind the scenes, intelligence reports suggest Tehran is both interested and alarmed. On one hand, the idea of Russian nuclear assistance could significantly strengthen Iran's deterrent power against Israel and the West. On the other hand, aligning too closely with Moscow might pull Iran into the direct line of fire if a new Cold War turns hot. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department responded sharply, calling any form of nuclear cooperation with Iran an act of international provocation. White House officials confirmed that emergency meetings were held at the Pentagon to evaluate possible scenarios if Russia does proceed with this deal. China's reaction, however, caught many by surprise. Beijing issued a rare dual statement, urging stability and restraint, while simultaneously defending Russia's right to protect its allies. Analysts interpret this as China quietly siding with Moscow without officially endorsing nuclear proliferation. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, during a campaign rally, blasted the Biden administration for what he called sleepwalking into World War III. He warned that Russia, China, and Iran are forming the most dangerous alliance in modern history, and accused the current U.S. leadership of weakness and indecision. As the rhetoric intensifies, the situation on the ground grows more dangerous. Satellite imagery from open-source intelligence groups has reportedly captured unusual activity at several Russian military bases, specifically those housing long-range missile systems. There are also unconfirmed reports that Iranian scientists have recently traveled to Moscow for technical consultations. In diplomatic circles, whispers of a new arms race are growing louder. Some experts compare this moment to the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, a time when humanity came within inches of nuclear war. Back then, it was Washington and Moscow standing toe-to-toe. Today, it's more complicated. Russia, Iran, China, Israel, and the United States are all part of a tangled web of alliances and hostilities. Let's step back for a moment and understand why this nuclear missile offer matters so much. For Putin, it's about leverage. Facing economic isolation and Western sanctions, Moscow needs powerful allies. Strengthening Iran not only threatens U.S. interests in the Middle East, but also divides the focus of NATO, forcing Washington to watch multiple fronts at once. For Iran, it's about survival and prestige. Decades of sanctions, covert sabotage, and regional conflict have left Tehran determined to project power. A Russian partnership could provide both deterrence and technological superiority over regional rivals. And for China, it's about timing. Beijing sees an opportunity to expand its influence while the West remains distracted. By standing with Moscow diplomatically and possibly supporting Iran economically, China ensures that the New World Order tilts away from American dominance. Meanwhile, Israel is on high alert. The idea of a nuclear-armed Iran backed by Russian expertise is a nightmare scenario for Tel Aviv. The Israeli Defense Ministry reportedly held late-night consultations with U.S. officials preparing contingency plans for preventive action if the missile deal moves forward. In Europe, leaders from NATO countries have expressed growing concern. Germany and France have both warned Moscow that crossing nuclear red lines would result in unimaginable consequences. However, the question remains, what exactly does that mean? The West's ability to deter Russia has been tested repeatedly over the past 2 years, especially after the conflict in Ukraine entered its most brutal phase. Back in Washington, officials are quietly split. Some argue that direct confrontation with Moscow over this issue could lead to catastrophe. Others believe that failing to act would embolden both Russia and Iran, making the world far more dangerous in the long run. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, every movement is being watched. The Persian Gulf is tense. U.S. naval forces have increased patrols near the Strait of Hormuz, while Russian and Iranian warships were recently spotted conducting joint exercises in the same area. The symbolism is clear. The message is one of unity against Western influence. The global financial markets have also reacted nervously. Oil prices spiked immediately after the news broke, with analysts predicting further instability if the diplomatic situation continues to deteriorate. The fear is simple. Any escalation between these powers could disrupt global trade routes, send energy prices soaring, and push fragile economies into crisis. Yet behind all the noise, there's a deeper question. Is this real or strategic bluffing? Some analysts believe Putin may be using the nuclear offer merely as a psychological weapon, a message to the West that Russia cannot be isolated. By hinting at cooperation with Iran, Putin forces the U.S. and its allies to think twice about further sanctions or military aid to Ukraine. Still, even if the offer remains only on paper, the damage is already done. The world now views the Russia-Iran-China triangle as a unified bloc, capable of challenging the existing global order. For the United States, this represents not just a military threat, but a diplomatic nightmare, a coalition of nations with shared grievances and mutual interests. As for Donald Trump's response, it reflects a growing sentiment among Americans that their country is losing control of the global narrative. In interviews and social media posts, Trump has claimed that none of this would have happened under his watch. Whether one agrees with him or not, his statement resonates with millions who feel anxious about America's diminishing influence. The real question now is how far Russia and Iran are willing to go. Will Putin actually deliver nuclear technology, or is this another high-stakes bluff designed to force negotiations on his terms? Tehran's response, both cautious and defiant, suggests that Iran understands the risks, but is unwilling to appear weak. If history is any guide, moments like these can spiral quickly. All it takes is one misstep, one miscommunication, or one act of aggression to ignite a chain reaction. The threat isn't just military, it's political, economic, and psychological. Every capital, from Washington to Beijing, is calculating its next move carefully. As the world watches, a silent race begins, a race to control the narrative, to secure alliances, and to prevent a new nuclear crisis. But with leaders trading threats and alliances hardening, it's hard to imagine an easy off-ramp. For now, the only certainty is uncertainty. Putin's nuclear missile offer has set the stage for one of the most dangerous geopolitical standoffs of our time. Iran's warning has made clear that it will not be intimidated. China's measured support shows its readiness to play a long game, and the United States, caught between diplomacy and deterrence, must now decide how to respond to a world on edge. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.